So George H.W. Bush, while not a fan,
The
was actually
neocons led by Secretary of Defense Dick Cheney. What did they want to do? They wanted to remove Saddam then in 1991. But
right.
George W. Bush understood the assignment. I went in there, got rid of all of the bad guys from Kuwait, and then I said, we are going home, and that's it. And again,
Yes.
Head of the CIA, probably involved in Kennedy's assassination, understands the ramifications of one action precedes another one, and so on and so forth. But then you got little Georgie Jr. Bush in there, and he didn't know his asshole from a hole in the ground, and they got him to do it instead.
Well, he wasn't capable of understanding the full meaning of the huge dossier document that his father wrote as to why invading Iraq was a bad idea. Whole big, thick thing about why that would be a bad plan. But the Cheney and Rumsfeld and Wolfowitz and all those psycho neocons just waited. They had to just wait through Clinton and wait it out. And they were just waiting till they could get another person in there that they could just control. And I wanted to comment on Zelenskyy being a billionaire. Yeah, fine and dandy, unless he doesn't live long enough to enjoy any of that.
Well, that's what happens when you do business with BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard.
And when you're willing to sell out people, you're willing to sell out your own people.
But he dresses in fatigues, so that makes him a tough guy. Whatever. Now, I want to come back to the whole Israel connection to this story, which I think you cannot ignore this. This is a huge part. So, from a channel that I follow pretty closely on Instagram, Ali Ziateri, and if you guys are not following him, his content is pretty solid. But I want everyone to put into perspective why this is such a big deal. Rothschild congratulated Trump for capturing Maduro and calling it liberation. If you still believe it was about liberation, you haven't learned anything from history. This isn't about Maduro. It never was. Next slide, please. People were told this was about narco-terrorism.
Sure.
But the largest drug empires on earth aren't foreign governments. They're pharmaceutical corporations that killed millions, paid fines, and kept operating. Sacklers. I didn't even see that. I totally just did that on the fly. And now you see why. The Jewish Zionist Sackler family killed 500,000 Americans. Now, Jen, they kill 500,000 Americans. How many of those besides the 500,000 Americans that they've killed that they're aware of, how many lives did they ruin? How many people did they put on the streets?
Oh, there's still so many families and people that are suffering because of the opioid epidemic, because of these people. When they knew what they were doing was hurting people and they didn't care and they kept doing it anyway. And the fact that they were able to buy their way out of criminal liability is so grotesque. And to me, until those people are dealt with how they should be dealt with, I'm not taking any sort of, I would say, law enforcement against drug dealers any seriously at all. I never really did anyway, to be honest with you, because I have a very Portugal kind of approach to it, is that to me, drugs is not a criminal issue. It's a health issue and it needs to be dealt with accordingly. But yeah.
I agree.
But I find that kind of annoying that he says the Jewish Sackler family. I find that kind of like dog whistly and really not like, what's the relevance of that? Other than trying to portray Jewish people as sinister. Why would it matter what the Sackler family is when what we're talking about is Venezuela and narco-terrorism? We need to talk about them as drug dealers and being disgusting oligarch billionaire fucks that need to understand Mangione monetary theory. But the fact that they're Jewish is really kind of like, why would you put that in here?
Dog whistle. I know. Are the
Well, I think it's, and again, I will always point these things out because I think people need to understand and be aware of media literacy. And that's one of those things where it's like, what is the point of that? Who are they speaking to? What is the premise in terms of what are they trying to accomplish with this?
Well, what they're trying to accomplish is point out the fact that, yeah, they're Jews, but again, as we've pointed out, this is a class issue. Now,
yes,
granted, the overwhelming majority of Zionist billionaires are Jewish. That's a fact. However, if you think that that makes any difference, this is the same argument that's made again. I'll give you a great example. You know how a lot of people that have found their way to this channel have a sensitive opinion when it comes to the issue of it's the white man's problem? Here's what I could tell you, ladies and gentlemen. Is it the white man's problem? No, but it is an elite white man's issue. When you think about the richest and most powerful people in the world, overwhelmingly, they are white and they are men, and they're usually old men. That's not a stereotype. That's just a fact. If you don't like that, then you wouldn't like being called a Jew just because the Zionist billionaire class is predominantly Jewish. It's the same thing.
It's sort of like in the chat when some idiot calls me a Jew princess and then also feels the need to be somewhat judgy about me smoking on air. You're not going to last in our chat. But yeah, I can understand being touchy about being called like a Jew princess.
Couldn't agree more. Not all Jews are from Israel, but all Zionists are. And Peter, most of them are fake Jews. Correct. Granted, most Zionists, they don't practice anything. They don't believe in anything. You know what they believe in? They believe in their own personal satisfaction. That's it. And they use, to the detriment of honest, everyday Jewish people, they use them as a weapon for facilitating their global Zionist billionaire oligarchic control over the world. And you think for a second that they don't start wars, that they don't get people killed for the purpose of maintaining that hegemony? Of course they do. And as I said about Myron Gaines, as I would say about anybody else, when you call them a Jew bitch, or you even call them the K word, at the end of the day, who are you helping by doing that? You're helping the Zionists. They love it when you do that. That only helps keep them at top a little bit longer. So keep in mind the people that use that type of language, whether or not they're truly on the side of justice, because my guess is that they're not. They're in it for a career, just like every other grifter out there who does it for the money and for the power. So
yes, answering questions. Yes, I smoke weed. I'm a cannabis user. And the only reason that you won't be seeing me smoking on camera is because for the next couple of months, I am in a rental property. And so this is not my home. And so therefore, it's not like I'm in my old studio where I can do whatever I want. So yes, but that is a thing. And, yeah. But I have to step outside.
No arrests, nothing. Next. Venezuela had no Rothschild-controlled central bank. The Central Bank of Venezuela was 100% state-owned by the government. Nathaniel Rothschild is now celebrating Trump and the regime change as liberation in Venezuela. The Rothschilds are also the funders of Israel. Next one, please. In 2009, Venezuela cut oil exports to Israel after the Gaza massacre. Oh, I thought everything started after October 7th, 2023. Oh, I guess there's another piece of history that most people weren't aware of. Chavez expelled Israel's ambassador, broke diplomatic relations, publicly aligned with Palestine. 2009, mind you. From that point on, Venezuela became a permanent target because Venezuela equals world's largest oil reserves. The playbook, 1953, Iran nationalizes oil, coup. 1973, Chile nationalizes copper, coup. 2003, Iraq oil equals invasion. 2011, Libya, Africa's largest proven oil reserves, plus Gaddafi did not want to trade with the US in the petrodollar. He wanted to use his own gold reserves and do his own currency in Libya. Regime collapse. We came, we saw, he died. 2026. Venezuela, world's largest oil reserves, military intervention, and regime change. You getting the picture yet? Next one, please. America and Israel each bombed 7 countries in the past year. By the way, that's a record. Donald Trump said, I totally set the record. Bombed 7 countries in a single year. That's the most that a U.S. president has ever done. A country in all of its history has bombed 7 countries in a year. A new record, Venezuela. That was fast. Yep, absolutely. Venezuela joined the list exactly as predicted 1 month ago. Venezuela sits on the world's largest proven oil reserves, 195 TCF of natural gas, top 5 globally, a fully state-controlled central bank, no Wall Street access, no foreign ownership of its core resources. But there's more to it.
There's more.
Venezuela sits on the Orinoco mining arc, one of the richest untapped mineral zones on Earth. Gold, silver, coltan, rare earth minerals. The raw materials that power modern militaries and green energy grids. Estimates put the Orinoco arc at hundreds of billions to over 1 trillion in buried resources. The coltan is valued north of 100 billion, or the coltan, excuse me. It is essential for smartphones, weapon systems, and EV batteries. This is not liberation. They don't care about Venezuelans or Americans.
No.
Oil takes years and tens of billions to restart. Gold doesn't. Venezuela officially holds 161 metric tons of gold, among the largest reserves in Latin America, and an estimated 10,000 tons remain underground. At current prices, that's over 1 trillion buried in the ground.
1.7, according to Conchata Balata, whatever her name is.
Conchata Balata. People celebrate the looting of foreign currencies, not realizing the same system is looting them too. Venezuela has 17 trillion in oil. Ordinary Americans and Venezuelans will never see a cent of it. Zionist bankers and Israel will devour everything like they always do. This was never about Maduro. Corrupt leaders are everywhere, but they are mainly targeted for their resource, having to no Rothschild-controlled central banks, criticism of Israel, and exposing Zionist control over America. The media demonizes leaders when it serves a strategic goal.
Of course.
The U.S. can abduct a foreign head of state, try him in its courts, and call it justice. Then sanction the International Criminal Court for pursuing war criminals like Netanyahu Milikowski. It's a circus. Zionist powers are openly mocking the West. Ask the only question that matters. After liberation, who controls the oil? Who controls the minds? Who controls the money? It's never the people. Americans lose, Venezuelans lose, Zionist billionaires fill their pockets and exploit both sides like they always do.
Yep.
Venezuelans celebrate in the streets, don't understand the consequences. Neither do MAGA supporters cheering a narco bust. Let me explain something before we continue. Let's be very clear. The people that are celebrating this, there's only two people that are doing that. Those that are paid and those that don't know anything. Because if you knew anything, you would know that this is the straw that will break the camel's back of American empire. And if you are being paid to celebrate this, which we've seen those conservative Inc. and shitlib accounts, you know, the amazing thing about this, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just the people who suck off Trump's ballsack every single day for a paycheck. It's also the shitlibs of the Democratic Party establishment led by the likes of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Nikki Fried, Neera Tanden, all of them. You know what they all say? Hillary Clinton. You know what they all say? It's wonderful for the Venezuelan people, but it's terrible the way Trump did it. He needed to do it a different way. We agree in principle. You know, kind of like Cory Booker with his 2-page long explanation about why this is good and it's bad at the same time, but it's really good because I'm paid to say it's good. These are the people that are traitors to America. These are the people who know the score and they do it anyway because they want to get paid. That's what's most important. Wouldn't that make them the most guilty of all?
People get screwed in all of this. It's not for anybody but the wealthy people that make money off of oil and off of the military-industrial complex. That's the entire point.
This isn't left versus right. This isn't the U.S. versus Venezuela. It's Zionist billionaires, banks, and corporations versus Americans and Venezuelans. And you can duplicate that across the board in any other nation. Colin? The real winners are Exxon, Chevron, defense contractors, political insiders, Israel, and the Rothschilds. The biggest losers, Venezuela and America.
No, Venezuelans.
Venezuelans and Americans, but 6 of one, half a dozen, same thing. Maduro also crossed another red line. He openly challenged the U.S. and Israeli foreign policy, condemned the genocide in Gaza, and aligned with Palestine. That guaranteed nonstop attack from Zionist-owned Western media, among other things. This wasn't liberation. It was extraction, sold as justice. Once you understand how oil, gold, central banks, Fed, repo markets, and power intersect, liberation is the story told to the naive while resources are stripped and debts are written. It's not about democracy. It's not about humanitarian concern. It's not even about ideology. It's about who controls the world's largest oil reserve and who Maduro refuses to bow to. The country changes, the targets change, the strategy does not.
No, it's like it's rinse, wash, repeat, right? Like that's or wash, rinse, repeat. Like that's what we do over and over again. And I think most people see it.
They call it the great noticing. Well, look who's celebrating the President of the United States. Nat Rothschild.
Oh, wow.